It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. All right. Thank you, Beatles, for Revolution.
Yeah.
Badass rock song from 1968. Fun fact, everybody goes, man, the Beatles were so original. No, they were just really smart at who they ripped off blindly. Yeah. Like the intro to Revolution, the song you just heard, they were in the studio. They decided to do an up-tempo version of what was originally a slow bluesy dirge, and they needed an intro, and John Lennon goes, I got it, and he took the Pee Wee Crayton do unto other intros. Like they say, the best artists don't borrow, they steal. So score one for John Lennon and Pee Wee Crayton. Let's get into your top 5 at 6, shall we? Speaking of the Beatles, number 5 on your top 5 at 6, a piece of George Harrison's toast from 1963 just sold at auction. I just said that in English, and it's a true statement. A piece of toast from George Harrison's family home from 1963, from August 2nd, 1963, has sold at auction. It's not been on the market since 1991, when back then it sold for just under $95,000.
Wow. In 1991 money?
Yes. 1991 money.
Yeah, he commented on it in 1992 in an interview. I was pissed that someone stole a piece of his toast. I can imagine sitting down for breakfast and I've got my dippy eggs over easy here. Yeah. Where's my frickin' toast at, man?
Hey, man, post-war British kids were not given extra toast. You know what I mean? You don't take a man's toast. There's only one piece. George actually said, no, I always used to eat my toast. I doubt it's real. It's a 15-year-old fan was visiting George's family home. Again, this is the summer of 63 when they were nobody in America, but they were already taking over England. And she was like, I'll take that, thanks. It was just a piece of a small piece. It wasn't a whole piece. It was just the crust from his toast. And you know, George, he always wanted the crust cut off his PB&Js.
Yeah, I'd always heard that about him.
You know, he wasn't the quiet Beatle. He was the no crust Beatle.
That was the working title of Here Comes the Sun. Who took my toast?
That's exactly right.
I mean,
man.
Think about that the next time you're listening to Here Comes the Sun. It was, who took my toast?
Yeah, the original line, who took my toast? It's not all right.
Yeah.
He was pissed. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. Speaking of who took my toast / Here Comes the Sun, golf courses are opening this week all over Minnesota and western Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
Shocking. Oh, wait a minute. We usually have a few months where Dad hangs around after football season and we get to remind ourselves who he is. Oh, no, he's already golfing in February? All right, never mind.
Yeah, they're ready to get rid of him by then anyway.
That's very true. So for the second straight year, you got people golfing in Minnesota in February, to which I just say, hey, you're welcome, man. I brought it with me. There it is. I said it.
Thank you.
I'm not necessarily. I'm the only guy in Minnesota who's like, this sucks, man. I came here looking for winter, and I got one my first year, and now for the third winter in Minnesota, I'm 1 out of 3 with, like, honest to God, holy crap, I can't believe it. So
the guy that runs the snowmobile shop isn't so stoked.
I guarantee you that. We're gonna have a nice warm weekend, and people are gonna be out golfing, and it's just gonna make that April snapback that much more painful.
Yeah. I mean, what a great cure for cabin fever, golf rage. I mean, I cannot wait to get the hell out of that house and get pissed off on a golf course.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
From
what's the
boredom to
longest?
pissed off.
How many holes have I played early in a golf campaign before I blow my top? I mean, I can't get through a hole. You know, if I haven't played golf in 7-8 months, I'm still going to have one bout of rage in the first 18 holes.
Yeah,
against all reason, against all probability. I mean, there's no reason to think I'm going to play well, and yet on number 6, I'm going to hit a ball and go like, it's going to happen.
The worst round of golf I ever had in my life is I was dating someone who liked to golf, and I thought, don't ever date someone who some couples can pull it off. The Collins couple, Jeff and Barb, you know. They never had kids, though, so they sort of cheated. Never had kids, just married, and now they're retired and living in a golf community, doing it the right way. But so she went out, and I said, well, you can't. We're just getting to know each other. I can't swear. I can't curse. And I do enjoy myself when I play golf, but you got to let it out. Mm-hmm. And I could not let it out, and it was a frustrating day. I don't even remember how the hell I golfed. All I know is I could not swear, and it drove me crazy for about 3 hours.
A great challenge would be play 18 holes, Steve, and not cuss. I don't know if I could. I honestly don't think I could do it. I could turn it off around my kids when they were little. I could never imagine golfing without just cursing like a sailor.
Yeah, right.
It's part of it. Speaking of cursing like a sailor, number 3 on your top 5 at 6. In Memphis, Tennessee, police are looking for an axe-wielding lunatic. Here's the story. A 76-year-old gentleman and his wife are driving in town in the middle of in Memphis, and he rear ends a Chevy Impala at a red light. The gentleman's driving an SUV. He comes up, and not at a high rate of speed, a fender bender rear ends a Chevy Impala. The driver of the Impala immediately gets out of his car, holding something in his hand, and turns and walks back to the SUV. What he's holding is an axe, and he goes to town on this older fella's SUV. Now, the car behind all this caught it all with their cell phone video, of course. Because everyone's a CNN reporter now. But the driver of the car, who did not want his name put out there, talked about the incident.
I thought, okay, I'll get over in this lane, the turn lane. I suppose I miscalculated. He started towards us, and I said, what's that in his hand? And we couldn't figure it out until he took a large swing at the back window. I'm just thankful he didn't come up to the window, because he'd have got through the window there with my head. I was more in shock. It did not occur to me to drive away.
Freeze or flight, isn't that what you're going to do one thing. You're either going to bolt or you're going to freeze in moments of like that. And he clearly froze. I would think, I've thought about times in life. I'll see those videos. You go down the rabbit hole and it's like, a car slams its brakes so you rear end it. And the whole point is they want to jump out and then rob your car. And the drivers just go around and knock the door off the bad guy's car because they left it open. These heroic, I think about that stuff. I think about, like, no matter what, I'm not getting out of my car and I'm not and I'm driving. I'm accelerating and I'm going to run over stuff to get away from the crazy, whenever the crazy is. And if a guy comes at my car with an axe, I would hope I would have the wherewithal to run that
Yeah. That's it.
Over.
Go with it, man. 3 words: conceal and carry.
That too.
Beats an axe every time. Well, this is a frustrating time of the year, rather, for lumberjacks. They haven't been out chopping. It's winter. Weather's starting to get nice. So, just, bear with them. Let's get them through this season. Pretty soon they'll be out there whacking on the trees and relaxing.
I like I was reading the article, and there's comments. People say, man, that guy was pissed off. I'm like, no, he's batshit crazy. There's a difference.
Yeah, right.
He didn't hit that guy's car with an axe because of the accident. He hit that guy's car with an axe because he's a lunatic.
Yeah,
that's how that works. Number 2 on your top 5 at 6. Hey, Brian, do me a favor. I would like you to repeat the following. I told you so, Minnesota. Go ahead, say those words.
I told you so, Minnesota.
Minnesota's cannabis industry grounded before takeoff for crying out loud. Hundreds of would-be entrepreneurs are bolting because it's taken so long to get it going. 400 people that filed applications and paid application fees to get into the pre-approval license lottery late last year because they wanted to distribute and sell marijuana products. 400 people have requested refunds. They said, this is taking too long. I got to bolt. I'm out of here. The stoners have run out of patience.
Moron. I've got morons on my team.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I remember getting into this whole conversation years ago with Tommy Chong, right here on this frequency, 92.5. And he said, oh, no, legalizing marijuana. And both of us were stoned at the time. We were on the air.
Sure.
We stepped out back and, but he said legalizing marijuana, he said, is going to be good. It's going to let people out of jail on these asinine marijuana charges that they've been throwing them in for years and this and that. I said, no, they're just going to bust them now for tax evasion and not selling, blah, blah. Anyway, we got into a whole debate on the air, and I said, listen, you do not want to turn marijuana over to the government. They're going to F it up every time. If you need some pot, Tommy, I know a guy. Works over at the Caboose. He's a bartender. He's got the best grass, and you can see a good band at the time, cold beer, the whole thing.
Yeah, man.
And listen, it works in a lot of other states. Call them up. Give Colorado a call. Hell, give Montana a call. Hey, what are you guys doing? And then do that.
Yeah. Michigan,
idiots.
Let's get it on. We can
Yeah, I mean, they can't. Minnesota, it's a great place. The quality of life here, this state, it's amazing. I love it. But when it comes down to having a good time, fireworks, buying booze on Sunday, whatever it is, they just can't get out of their own way. They just can't. It's the ultimate mom. Have fun, but don't. No. I take it back. Don't have fun. Get back in the house. Let me smother you.
One of my first shows on the KQ Morning Show in 2023, we talked about they're going to legalize marijuana, and Brian goes, "It'll never happen." He goes, "No, it's going to take years. It'll be if they say they have a date, wait 10 more years, and then maybe it'll work."
Yeah, right. What do you like more, being high or being right?
Oh my God, they never overlap, unfortunately. And let's be honest. Right. State legislators listening this morning, and I'm sure they're all listening this morning. Let's be honest. It is legal. Weed's legal. Yeah, that's what you've done. That's what you've done to these poor people that have been spent years investing time into licenses and growing operations, investing a lot of money, by the way. They're going bankrupt now. That's why they're suing you, because they're sitting around waiting for you to do your job. In the meantime, you've created the most awesome black market for pot, because everybody I know is growing it, and they're not selling it illegally. They're giving it away. Yeah. I've got a buddy that's growing so much with his son right now. For Christmas, he gave me 2 pounds. He's just like, here, just take it. Get it the hell. It's like tomatoes. That lady that grows tomatoes in her backyard next to you, and she brings over.
Before they spoil.
Yeah, garbage bags full of tomatoes, and you're like, I can't possibly. I mean, you're erping up tomatoes. I'm making tomatoes into little bongs now because there's so much.
And this is good weed too. Holy crap!
We're not going to need your frickin' dispensaries anymore.
Oh my God! Hey, let's give a little morning shout out to our friends up in Little Sweden, Lindstrom, Minnesota. Good to have you with us this morning. What a lovely little area Lindstrom is. First time I drove up there, I was like, check this out. Look at that teapot. This is awesome. Seriously, I had a nice cup of coffee up there, chatted with some locals, got some candy. It was great. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. Man, this just flat out sucks. Gene Hackman has left he's exited stage left. Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog all found dead in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico yesterday. Crazy. First words Ryder said this morning, and I had to say carbon monoxide.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
Must have been something like that. Police immediately said there's no sign of any foul play.
Right.
That is just awful. Gene Hackman, I will simply say this. There's no greatest ever, but there's a short list of people that are inarguably on the greatest of all time, and he's there and has been for decades.
No doubt.
I don't know anybody that doesn't go, oh, he's one of my favorites. Everybody has seen at least one Gene Hackman movie where they went, that guy is incredible. And there's dozens of them. Never, ever, ever not great in anything I ever saw him in.
Yeah, I think he memorializes himself best here, receiving the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award.
I never wanted to be anything but an actor. Being at the Palace Theater in my little hometown, my favorite time as a young boy, get a bag of popcorn and see a double feature. I would sit in that movie house, the screen would light up, and I'd be transported to darkest Africa and swing from the trees with Johnny Weissmuller, dive to the depths of the ocean with Ray Milland and John Wayne, ride the Santa Fe Trail, fly wingman with Errol Flynn, or walk side by side with my favorite, James Cagney. I'm honored and proud to be this year's recipient of the Cecil B. DeMille Award. I want to thank all of you. There's a line that I always wanted to say, top of the world, Ma, top of the world.
Man, the gentleman's gentleman, a friend of mine used to refer to Gene Hackman as. I don't know what it meant, but it always seemed to make sense. Gene Hackman gone at 95. His wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, only 64, and their dog. What a sad bit of news out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. There's your top 5 at 9. Paramount Plus coming in off the top rope, announcing they've gotten the rights to MTV Unplugged and VH1's Storytellers episodes. Over 100 of those that have been sitting in the vaults for decades will be made available. Unplugged episodes featuring the Allman Brothers. I remember watching that one at the time and going, I can't believe Greg still sounds this good. He was like maybe in his mid-40s, and I was like, they're ancient. Oh my God. But it was great. REM, Paul Simon, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, everything.
Soul Asylum on there,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, the Soul Asylum one was great as well. Storytellers has the Bee Gees. Don't roll your eyes. It's amazing. I remember that one very clearly. Springsteen, Pete Townsend, Foo Fighters. I mean, it's just such a wide
The Black
net.
Crows. Our man laying down
on the
a
list.
bad bongo beat, as I recall, in Storytellers. Weren't you on the bongos back there at one point?
The Storyteller. I think there was a kid. It was like brushes, and it was some hand percussion. Might have been some congas on a song or two.
Bongos,
Yeah.
congas, big boobs. I don't know. They're all the same to me.
It was the us doing Storytellers was hilarious because they, hey, do you want to do it? And Storytellers, the singer or the whoever does the mouth of the band in between songs tells stories about how they're written, and it's a very muted performance. So originally it was just the Robinson Brothers. Hey, you guys want to do Storytellers? Yeah, go get them. That'll be great. And then they got to New York and they're like, well, it's just a guitar, and maybe we'll get Eddie, our piano player, to join us. So then they fly him in from Detroit, where he lived, and then they're like working with Ed for an hour, and they're like, we should probably bring Mark, the other guitar player, just for some and then they bring Mark in, and then the next day they're like, hey, come up and keep time. I'm like, for God's sakes, just bring everybody. What are we doing? It was like 3 days of rehearsals, and every day another guy showed up, and then we did the I don't even remember the taping. Other than, well, I do. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, hey, here we go.
All right.
Oh, it was those were heady times. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
But there are some great episodes, and yeah, that's good news for music fans of a certain era, and that's every era, because that's a real wide net of artists that they got in there.
Am I the only one trying to think, do I have a Paramount Plus subscription? Because
it's paired with something else. Like I think it might be with my Prime. I don't know.
Same thing, Ryder, and I'm the king of the 7-day trial.
Yeah.
I'll get in, I'll binge watch like Tulsa King, and then cancel the trial. I put it on. I have to put it on my calendar with an alarm that goes off in the middle of the day. It says, hey, dummy, cancel the trial before they charge you. And then sometimes I forget and I go, oh, man, I just paid for another year of Peacock. What the hell is on Peacock?
When we
so
all
I don't
started,
know if I have it or not.
25 years ago or 20 years ago, when we all started texting, you would never miss a text. It was like, hey, text, and then you'd immediately respond.
Right.
Like we used to do with emails. You would never not answer a phone call. You know how it's bad when you ignore your own reminders in the calendar. Which I now do. Oh, whatever. When I first figured out how to use my smartphone calendar, I was like, my life will now finally make sense. I blow off my own reminders all the time. It's ridiculous. All right, let's look back.
Sports history with the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
February 27th, 1982, Earl Anthony, the left-hander, became the first $1 million winner in the history of the PBA Tour. Earl Anthony overcame a slow start, rolled 5 straight strikes to win the Toledo Trust that put him over $1 million. Who did he defeat that day? Charlie Tapp from South St. Paul, Minnesota.
No kidding.
Thanks for playing, Charlie.
What a great name.
It's a fantastic name. What are you kidding? Charlie
Both
Tapp.
of them, really. Yeah.
You could use that in there's a lot of euphemisms for Charlie Tapp. I'm just saying. My dad used to run Ebonite bowling balls in the 70s, and Earl Anthony was their top bowler. And so Earl Anthony, at the Gorman dinner table on several occasions, and I went to a bowling alley with Earl Anthony and rolled a game. You might as well walk into Madison Square Garden with Paul McCartney. You know what I mean? You walk into a bowling alley in 1980 with Earl Anthony. I was like Little Lord Fauntleroy. The bowling guys are suddenly like, hey, kid, would you like a Snickers? I'm like, that's right. I'm with the king. Back off.
Yeah, I remember Earl Anthony came to the Plains Bowling Alley when I was in grade school, and Tony Dunnick was one of my classmates, big time in there. His mom worked there, so he kind of grew up at the bowling alley. Bowled a 300, by the way, has a plaque there at Great Plains. Tony Dunnick. And lives down in Kentucky now. But anyway, why'd I throw that in there? Earl Weaver was coming during the day. You're just going to do a flyby during the day and bowl some games.
Earl Anthony.
Earl Weaver, No, it was actually Earl Weaver, the old Baltimore Orioles
he
manager.
Was coming to the bowling alley to start a fight.
Yeah, to kick some dirt on someone. And all I remember about it was Tony Dunnick couldn't get out of school, and he just sat there and cried all day. Yeah.
Oh, that's tough, man. I've never seen a 300, but but I saw a guy lose one in the 9th frame, and it was devastating. That was a rough one.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Foreigners, cold as ice right there. I hear cold as ice. I have cold February days, and at some point, I can't help it. The word shrinkage comes to mind.
Yeah.
We all know what shrinkage is. It's not just for those hot summer days in the cold pool. It can happen at any time, but in the winter, it's something guys are thinking about. Shrinkage. We all know what shrinkage is, don't we?
Yeah.
Do women know about shrinkage?
What do you mean, like laundry?
No.
Like when a man goes swimming afterwards?
It shrinks?
Like a frightened turtle.
Then there's a thing called winter penis. We've talked about that. Just in the winter, we lose about, what do they say, about a half inch, just generally.
Yeah, sure.
It's like until spring, and it blooms.
It's like it's what was that old song? Just let your blood flow, and we'll be right back to the full size penis. So shrinkage is not just for Seinfeld characters in New York City. However, in New York City, cosmetic surgeons are it's a gold rush right now because it's not just for the gals anymore. You need bigger stuff. We can give you bigger stuff. Penis enhancement. Hogger enhancement surgeries are going through the roof. Almost always, it's typically professional men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s are looking for several procedures now. There's girth enhancement. You just want something thicker. Yeah. This is the one that blows my mind. A larger scrotum. It's called.
Why do you want a larger scrotum?
I don't know. I'm very happy anytime it's just tucked out of the way. Like step aside, fellas. We don't need you.
I could see reeling it in 3 or 4 inches if you're in your 60s or whatever. Yeah. Just bring it back up. To its previous position, but I don't know why you would want a bigger scrotum. These are for, I was surprised when you said 50s and 60s because, 20s, 30s, maybe into your 40s, those are the years we have sex with the lights on.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of fun to catch a glimpse of yourself in the window or a mirror or something, but after a while, we don't want to. No one's looking at anyone's genitals, but
my favorite procedure is one for guys who want to be more of a shower than a grower, and they call that Showtox.
Showtox. Yeah, well, for the dick pics. That's a very important part of the dating process.
There's one doctor that was interviewed recently. He said it was 1 a week 3 years ago, and now it's 5 a day.
Ooh.
Wow. This is because of dick pics. This is why this has come around. This is, you're expected to send one at some point in the dating process. And, if you've got a buddy with a really rockin', good-looking, maybe you could ask him can I borrow yours? And, I'm going to use it.
Search on the internet. This seems to be a lot cheaper than getting your work done.
Okay, yeah, you'd think so, Ryder. But you ladies seem to know, when you go with that. They'll say, that's not you. That's actually a real horse.
Let's see your penis.
All right.
The doctor in the interview that I read said that... He said almost all of my patients, when they come in, they have an average or even larger than average penis to begin with. But it's just not enough. They need to be the biggest guy in the room. By the way, I've never known if I was the biggest guy in the room because it never occurred to me to find out.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm not worried about some other dude's junk. I'm looking at I'm looking at the ladies myself.
Now, Paul McCartney said at one point the Beatles, when they were over in Hamburg, Germany playing, the early days, they all masturbated together. You guys didn't do that in the Crows? No circle jerk?
There was never, I've not only in the never done it in any group of guys. I mean, there were some communal showers in high school athletic and moments.
Right.
And that was always that's just making fun of each other. No one in their right mind would have been like, you know what, guys, let's stop making fun of each other's physiques and let's all have an erotic moment together. That wasn't, that's not how my high school rolled. I mean, that's just wasn't what it was. These guys are almost all professionals. Check this out. Clients who work in like wealth management spending $50,000 to $60,000 per month.
What?
On girth enhancement, scrotum filler, and he said, like anything else people do to their bodies, once they start, they have a hard time stopping. Like tattoos, we've all probably known personally, plenty of women have breast enhancement, and then oftentimes they go in for round 2, and then later go, oh wait, that's too much, I got to back it down. This is very common with the Hogger enhancement. A lot of guys just don't know when to say when.
How's this going to age, Turn on The View and look at those women now. Do you want your wiener, your scrotum to look like that in 20 years? Then we're shutting the lights off.
In the article
so
I'm reading, there's one of the subtitles. Like every few paragraphs, they have a new line to get your attention. I'm just going to read 5 words to you. When penis filler goes wrong.
Oh, yeah. See? No, I don't know. No.
Look, I got a full head of hair. I'm hung like a draft horse. Don't have to think about these things. You know what I mean? It's just good to be me sometimes.
Isn't it?
I'll have you know that my penis is a respectable 1.4 inches.
Yeah. It's how you use it. Isn't that what the ladies say? It's how you use it.
And it's true. If you know what you're doing, the equipment isn't quite as important. Dudes think way more about size than women do.
That is what the ladies say. That's not necessarily what all the girls say. The ladies say that, and by God, I appreciate it. You're on the right track on a radio show when you look at the talk and text line and you see a text that simply says "bigger scrotum for teabagging purposes."
Well, yeah,
that says it all. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about Hogger enhancement. A lot of gentlemen out there looking for more girth, looking for a bigger knapsack,
coin purse. Yeah. There you go, knapsack. I like that one. It is frustrating.
Looking for more of a shower, the Showtox treatment. That's my favorite, Showtox.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating when you're trying to teabag someone and they don't notice. They just think there's a fly in their face. They keep just waving it. Get out of here. Shoo. Yeah.
If anybody has endured one of these treatments, or if you know someone who has and want to share an experience, my God, please, 651-989-ROCK. We're laughing, we're having fun, but if you're someone who does one day wake up and go, I need some girth enhancement, I'd like to hear what that whole process is like, what the train of thought is. It's one thing to think, I wish I had more down there, and then it's another to go, and by God, I'm going to do something about it. Yeah.
Those glamour filters, I don't use them on my phone. When you take pictures, you can. There's all those different kinds of filters. Adam messaged in that they have one for dick pics. They can make it look just a little softer, take out some of the spots and the wrinkles and some of that.
Oh,
so I don't know. Maybe you don't have to go to this procedure. You just need the right app. Thank you, Adam.
The only one of those I've ever used for my dick pics is it just gives it a whole rainbow. It's a bunch of different colors.
That's nice.
And it's like brighter light, backlighting. It's all But other than that, no.
Try the one where they put the little dog ears on it.
Yeah. I go beyond that. It's beyond that. It's au naturel, of course. This is really, like I said, we can laugh about it, but. No, it's funny. No, regardless, I'm sorry. If it's like you said, Zepp. If you're in your 20s or 30s and you decide you're going to go through this, okay. The fact that men in their 50s and 60s are lining up at clinics to get giant hogs, I'm like, guys.
You don't have the money to do this until you're in your 50s or 60s.
I
don't imagine it's cheap.
I guess, no, it's definitely not cheap. You can spend thousands of dollars. And like Botox, Showtox, you got to get it every few months. It doesn't last forever. It's not like you're going to walk out of there and go, all right, man, awesome, this is great. And much like, I'm sure, breast enhancement, that's been going on forever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a moment when women, I don't even, there's the, hey, are those real or not? There's, we talked about shrinkage on Seinfeld.
Yes, Steve, they are.
There's a whole Seinfeld episode about that. Are
they're
those real?
And they're spectacular.
So now I'm like, when you're the dude and you are, for the first time, since you've gotten your first Showtox treatment, you're like, all right, this is it. We're going to do this, huh? And you drop your drawers. You're just like, what if the woman looks at you and says, is that real? Or is that show? I mean, because the whole point of wanting a much larger piece of woodwork is to not tell anybody it's actually artificially grown. Does that make sense? Am I saying this right?
No, it is.
If you're going into it, I can't imagine. Like for women, they can be like, "Oh yeah, I didn't like how I looked, and I got these, and it's empowerment, and I feel better, I feel sexier." But I don't think dudes do that. I don't think that works in the male brain. Oh no, I was much smaller, but now thanks to some needles, look how big this Schwangstuke is. I just don't imagine dudes are comfortable having that conversation.
No, we're not having it with each other. And I mean, maybe it depends on, which team you play for. Maybe some guys like to have that conversation, but generally, no, that would be for your partner, whomever that is, I guess, or just to show it off, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's got to probably frustrating if you've got a really ugly looking unit. And and you're trying to keep up with the dick pics out there.
If you're wondering if there's actually a connection between size of your junk and your fertility, you know what I mean? Like I'm a virile man. No, not really. It really doesn't have much to do with that at all. In fact, if you're wondering how fertile you are, there is an over-the-counter test that will tell you how potent your life seed actually is. It's called Sperm Check, and it's within 98% accuracy in a 10-minute test you can do at home.
That's it, 10 minutes?
10 minutes. And it costs about $50. So if you don't want to drop $50, here's a few signs to let you know that you're actually still virile. You are still able to plant the seed of life. Not having a beer belly helps.
Whoops. I'm done anyway.
Hey,
so, yeah.
A Dutch study found that if your waistline is smaller than 40 inches, you will generally have a much higher sperm count.
All right.
40 doesn't seem that small. Is 40 that small?
It's not that small.
Okay.
No. You got some size if you got a 40-inch waist.
Hey, average, isn't it?
Yeah, you're still in the dad bod area.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
As long as your features, and this goes back to the whole giant junk corollary, if your features aren't too masculine, guys with really manly features like, square jaw, hairy chest, naturally just ripped, lower sperm counts, generally speaking, in studies from various countries around the world. So yeah, the dad bod it's truly the dad. You got a better chance of being a dad. And here's another one: if your voice is high pitched, or at least not super low. Women are more attracted to low voices, but guys who have them are more likely to struggle fathering children. If you've got a really low voice, sorry, Barry White, your sperm count's a little bit low.
You got to be kidding me, Steve.
That's
crazy.
When I found out about that, I just said, well, then my life is over if I can't reproduce children. That's about as low as I can get it right there.
Sperm check, you say?
Yeah, my voice is getting lower as I age, and my beer belly's getting bigger. But I'm not interested. I got two kids, both in their 20s. I'm way past the point of thinking, I really hope I'm still virile.
No, I would use the sperm check now to see if I've reached that point where I don't have to have a vasectomy. Really dragging my heels on that one.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, for sure.
There's
Monday. I'll do that on Monday.
You know what? I think if you are contemplating a vasectomy, just pay real close attention to the actual age of anyone you might sleep with. That's probably, you know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, younger women, I'm sure that's very attractive. But if you don't want the vasectomy, just stay in your own lane age-wise. Get your peers.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the hysterectomy beat me to the vasectomy. That's all I'm going to say about that. And
that sounds
in a loving way, by the way.
That sounds like a country song.
Hysterectomy
beat me to my vasectomy, and we're happy as clams at 60. I can totally see that. That's a Porter Wagner classic waiting to be written right there.
Uh-huh.
I did play on a track in Nashville, one of the first sessions I ever played when I moved there in 2004, and it was one of those, just some country song, and the title of the song, which I never heard, I don't even know if it was released, it was called Hitchin' Up My Giddy Up. And I remember thinking, of all the things I ever thought I would do the drum kit, this was not on the list. Because I'm hitching up my giddy up, I'm coming to talk to you. It was about hitting on a girl in a bar, and he had to get liquid courage, but he had to hitch up his giddy up to cross the bar to talk to a little lady.
We've all had to do what we had to do to make a buck. I worked at a country station for a month, so we've all reached low.
I'm going to hit you up my giddy up and take this artificially enhanced penis across the room and talk to that girl. Me and this little Bud Light are ready to make friends over there. I'm going to take my enhanced penis and talk to those enhanced breasts, and maybe we'll get out there and have ourselves a good old time on the dance floor.
That's it.
Now. Come on, talk to your buddy.
Hit.
Man, they just fall out of me when I least expect it. When you're traveling, we're all on planes occasionally, and we talk a lot of travel stories on this show. There's nothing worse than when you sit down next to a stranger on the plane. I don't care. If they smell bad, that's one thing. I'm an adult. I can probably process that. If they just have a weird sort of vibe, but if they're just chatty, if they just want to talk, that's
Headphones.
The worst thing ever. And I sit there sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, for the love of God, would you please just die? But you really need to be careful what you ask for in these situations. Seriously, hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, February the 27th. It costs a lot of that Pink Floyd money to go vacation in Europe, as an Australian couple decided, you know what? We've had this dream for years. We're finally going to do it. Let's go to Venice, Italy, the most romantic city in the world. And so the flight from Australia to Italy, well, it's a long one. And you got to fly over all parts of the world to get there. And while they were on their flight, mid-flight, another passenger on their plane died and was seated next to them in their row.
What the?
No, I don't mean was seated there for takeoff. I mean, after death, the flight attendants said, hey, there's a couple extra seats. Let's just put this lady here until we land.
No.
Yes.
No, you don't.
Yes. We're on our way to Venice. We're going to renew our vows. We're going to finally be in the city of love. And all we got to do is sit next to a dead person for 14 hours on a flight.
What about one of those flight attendant seats up there? One of those little ones. Stick them in there. You're not paying for the flight. Yeah, thank you.
A female passenger, collapsed during the flight. She walked out of the bathroom and just boom, on the floor. Oh. Flight attendants tried to save her. They were unsuccessful. They were. Just imagine the scene on the plane. Doing the CPR in the aisle, a very cramped area towards the back of the plane.
Damn.
A woman's just gone. They cannot get her back, and they decided, well, we are gonna move the body to business class. There's a bunch of empty seats up there.
That's getting better.
They put her in a wheelchair. And they were going to roll her up, but it was they couldn't move the chair through the aisle. As it turned out, the chair they had, it was just too wide. They just didn't have the space. They noticed there's a row of 4 seats where this couple from Australia was sitting, and 2 of those 4 seats were empty. And they were like, well, okay, we'll just put her here. And they were like, excuse me, sir, can you move over one so we can place this body here? And that's exactly what they did.
Son of a...
Yeah.
Is this when this emergency landing type stuff is supposed to be happening? Or?
It was a 14-hour flight from Melbourne to Qatar where they were going to reconnect to Venice. It was the passenger died mid-flight. There were 4 hours left.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what?
They didn't emergency land. They just said, no, we're going to keep on going to Doha. And for the final 4 hours of the flight, imagine there's 4 seats. You're on the aisle. Your spouse is next to you, and then there's an empty seat, and then there's a dead lady.
All right, so now right away when you get on and there's empty seats and they close the door and you realize you're taking off and you have an empty seat in your aisle, you're pretty stoked.
Yeah.
This is when it works to get you. You know what our special ops did with Obama, or I've already forgot his name.
Laden?
Thank you. My God, it's been 20 years since I made that mistake.
Not the same person.
Jettison him right off the plane. No kidding. Anyway, that joke died, just like the lady. I did Google what happens to your body immediately after you die. You know what happens immediately? Number one thing, muscles relax, releasing strain on your bladder and bowel.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 lines, two lines, no waiting. Boom, here we go.
Lines, no waiting.
Hey, man, you gotta pee, you gotta poo, even when you're dead.
Yeah.
So the woman interviewed the Ms. Collin, the woman of the couple that had to sit next to her. She said, I just love this one part of her interview. I'm not a great flyer, even at the best of times. Upon landing, they were told, stay in your seats. Paramedics are going to come in and remove the body. They couldn't even, when the plane landed, they couldn't even jump up and run away. Ugh. They had to wait there and watch the body be removed. They're very upset. And by the way, this is Qatar or Qatar. As I know people go, it's pronounced Qatar. Qatar. That's how it looks to my brain. Qatar Airways said, oh, no, we've spoken with the passengers and we've addressed their concerns. And the passengers are saying, we haven't heard anything. We're trying to get a little help here. And they don't seem to care what we went through. They're very upset, of course, that they lost a passenger, but they're not thinking about what the surrounding passengers all endured. So it's not even just these two people. There are dozens of people who were probably well aware of this situation as it's happening. Sure. I mean, when you're on a plane, if you're on a 2-hour flight, and you hear anything out of the ordinary, any hubbub, any what's going on there, if you hear a raised voice, everyone immediately turns, pulls out their iPhone, and you hope you're watching the next alien encounter on a flight. But this is a whole different thing. This is suddenly flight attendants running down the aisles. Does anyone know CPR? And then you're like, holy crap, this is happening.
Put your headphones on.
And then, damn straight. And then you got 4 more hours where you're sitting next to a dead lady. Come on. They did put blankets over her and they covered her face. I mean, they did that part. So that's kind of nice. In case you're curious about what the protocol is mid-flight, the first thing they say, well, first things first, alert the captain. Yeah, thank you. Move the deceased to a seat with the fewest passengers around. If the flight is full, the body should be returned to its original seat or one that doesn't obstruct an aisle or exit. I mean, think about that. If there are no empty seats, you just put the person back in their seat. Hopefully they're not on a window.
Don't get on a long flight if you're unhealthy also.
Yeah, there's that. Can you imagine sitting in the aisle or a middle seat and the person gets up from the window? So you're already like, oh, God, can you not hold your bladder? And then you stand up and the person next to you stands up and you stand in the aisle, let them go back to the lavatory. And then 20 minutes later, a flight attendant comes up and says, hi, can you guys excuse us for a minute? We have to put the passenger's dead body back on the window seat.
Yeah.
Yowza.
I hope I get a free drink voucher for that.
The last place I would expect to just come across a dead body would be at 30,000 feet. On the KQRS Facebook post, Ryder put up there, have you ever had a close encounter with a dead stranger? Check this one out. Kevin on the KQ page had a guy sitting right next to me at a wrestling match pass away in his seat.
That's a bummer.
A lot of excitement.
Yeah.
Didn't even pause the match. Paramedics came and placed him on a gurney, wheeled him out. It was very uncomfortable. I imagine that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Here's one. Granny Annie knew a guy who died in a movie theater. No one knew till the movie was over. That's a pretty good place to do it. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go,
I guess.
Get in the movie theater as soon as the lights go down. You just kick that now in those Barca loungers. Hell, I don't want to get up when the movie's over.
Right.
Pretty exciting. I'm trying to think, man. I mean, I've had a lot of weird encounters on planes, but I've never had an, hey, folks, we got to land the plane. Well, that's not true. I had to take off and then it turned around and landed back where we took off from because there was some light on in the cockpit. But never on your way from A to B and they say we're going to land at C. I've never had anything like that happen. Have you guys ever been in a plane with an emergency situation, Ryder?
I have not, no.
Zep?
Smooth sailing, knock on wood.
No. What comes to mind, though, is my ex, Stacy, was on a trip with her friend down to, one of those beaches down south of us somewhere. And a cruise ship came in. And they let the people off the cruise ship to mingle for a bit. Then you get back on the cruise ship. While one woman got off the cruise ship, she died on the beach. They came down, tried life-saving measures, could not, but they weren't allowed to take her away because she was on the cruise ship. There was a kind of a gray area there. Who's in charge? So they just threw a sheet over her on the beach in the middle of the day. So she's like, that was kind of awkward. So we're sitting there for a little while thinking, this is just off-putting. There's a dead woman on the beach with a sheet over top of her. So they leave the beach, go out frolicking, having a good time. Right about midnight, they decide to walk down the beach, catch a little surf as you do. And they're walking down the beach and she's still there. The next morning, she was still there. No one would come get her because the cruise ship said, we don't have the facilities. And I guess the local town there said, well, it's not ours. It's your body. Yeah. So I think the crabs started to get to her at that point.
Holy smokes. When I was a little kid, one of the neighborhood toughs came up and he goes, hey, you guys want to see a dead body? And we walked down these train tracks and Kiefer Sutherland threatened us. It was it was... Oh, no, wait. No, hang on. That wasn't me. That was a movie I saw once. It was a pretty good one, too. Truth be told. Stand By Me. What are you kidding? You guys ever want to see a dead body? And I did. We always had stories about when you were a kid, you'd hear, hey, man, they found a dead body on the golf course. And it never turned out to be true. At least once a year, there was a dead body rumor floating in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
In a suburb where there was never anything like that could ever happen. But you kind of get your hopes up and like, man, do you really want to go see this? And it was always, we lived on, our backyard had some woods and they backed up to a golf course. We were not members of this golf club, this country club, but we would, of course, use the golf course for other purposes other than golf. And there was a pond and yeah, it was constant. Hey, man, I heard there's a dead body in the pond. It was just like regular stuff. You heard about it all the time. As far as I know, never true. But in my mind, it was always a golfer. I was like, man, what's wrong with those golfers? What's happening with all these golfers out there? They're dying. That's the rage. That's what the game does to us.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of golf, the 2025 Tee It Up Golf Card number 3 presented by Club Champion is on sale right now. Golf 7 area courses and save over $200. You can get more information and pick up your card by simply texting the word golf to 651-989-ROCK. The Oscars are this weekend. I didn't see any of the movies. I don't really care because I still like watching old movies. Man, I watched this movie called Margin Call the other day. From like 2011. I'm just saying, incredible, mind-blowing. Missed it in real time and went back and loved every very minute of it. But speaking of movies, I like to go back. I'm a sucker for the old ones, and we're going to play a game right now called the No Name Movie Game. And what are we playing for? I'm glad you asked, Steve. Paul Simon tickets.
It's a hot ticket.
It is a hot ticket. Those bad boys are way sold out. Paul Simon on the road this spring, very unexpectedly after his retirement seemed to be real. He's unretiring and hitting the road. He'll be here in April. We got 2 tickets on the table. The No Name Movie Game is, here's how it works. A caller on the phone will hear myself and then Zepp and then Ryder. We will describe a movie. We will not give a title or keywords. We'll just explain what's happening without using the name of the film. And you guess the movie right. If you get 3 in 60 seconds, you win tickets to the game. Did I explain that right, Ryder?
Yes, I'm going to say yeah.
All right, fair enough. Up first on the horn, Kathy from Forest Lake with a shot at redemption. Kathy, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
All right, are you ready to play the game?
I am.
All right, I'm going to go first, and then Zepp, and then Ryder. You will have 60 seconds. When you say ready, then Ryder's going to hit the buzzer. Ready? You say it, and we'll start.
Really loud. Talk really loud.
And Kathy, just remember, shout out the name of the movie as soon as you know it. You don't have to wait for us to stop giving clues, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Ready, set, go.
Okay, a couple of low-life criminals get into a false kidnapping scheme with a Twin Cities car salesman. And the whole thing unravels because the police chief of Brainerd, who's 6 months pregnant, foils their entire plan. Her name's Marge. She's married to a guy who paints ducks. Come on, Kathy. Nothing?
Carnival.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, Kathy. This is a cop trapped in a skyscraper with terrorists over Christmas. Kippy-I-A, mother effer.
Die Hard.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
Boom. All right, Kathy, this one focuses on the San Diego Action 4 News Crew San Diego, which I believe is Spanish for a whale's vagina. It follows this team of news people, particularly the one lead guy who is somebody very recognizable from Saturday Night Live.
Keep talking, Ryder. Talk louder. Keep talking. Give me clues.
Yes!
Ryder.
I think it's pronounced Santiago.
Yeah.
That's
it was
Germans founded it.
Unkerman.
Yeah.
I tried.
F you,
Thank
San
you for
Diego.
letting me play again.
Yeah, you did much better. That was good. Not bad.
All right.
I feel better about that.
Yeah, great. Nice effort. All right, moving on. It's time. We have Shelley in Cambridge. Shelley, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Can you hear us, and do you know what we're doing?
Yes, I believe I do.
All right, great. You got 60 seconds. You got to guess 3 movies correctly. When you say you're ready, we'll start the timer.
Okay. I am ready.
All right, a millionaire wants to throw a party, so he asks a guy with a great mustache to drive to a state where the beer he really wants is available for sale. So the guy with the good mustache and his buddy in a big semi race west, load up a truck full of beer, and race it back to the scene of the party. And along the way, they pick up a runaway bride, and the sheriff chases them, and hilarity ensues.
Smokey and the Bandit.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. So this is a movie about a very big ship that famously sank, and one of the women on the ship, when she was in the water, wouldn't let the other guy on to the door that she was on, and it was a real
Ryder,
big...
I'm not understanding a word you're saying.
Oh, no. It's the opposite of tiny. It's a ship that's...
A ship
huge.
sank. A big famous ship sank in the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, the Titanic.
There you go.
We got a winner, right?
Yes.
Sorry to jump in there, Ryder, but she couldn't hear you, and I was just trying to help out.
No, you're good.
All right.
All right.
We got a winner.
Is she explaining something to me, or what's going on?
You're going to see Paul Simon is what's going on.
Oh, my God, good. I almost bought those yesterday. Thank you so much. I'm so
Shirley,
excited.
that's awesome. All right, well played.
Yes.
Man, that's great.
I was holding my breath.
Is that it, or we got more tickets? I'm sorry, I don't even remember.
We got one more if you guys are game.
Yeah, come on. Let's see if we can give away another set.
Okay.
All right, we got Randy from St. Cloud on the horn. Randy, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, Randy, you know what we're doing. Are you ready to play?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right, when you say the word ready, the timer starts.
Okay, ready.
All right, a bunch of Ivy League theoretical physicists get together with some of Albert Einstein's theories, and they want to cook up a ginormous bomb. They start something called the Manhattan Project, and then they go to New Mexico, and they figure it out, and they made the biggest, scariest bomb of all time. And then the U.S. government dropped a couple of those bombs on Japan, and this movie was out last year, and it was huge.
Hiroshima.
No.
I don't know.
It was the biggest movie of last year, not named Barbie.
Manhattan Project. I don't know. Oppenheimer.
There you go.
Yes. Here we go. So this was a movie set in Minnesota about a couple of neighbors. They're not happy young women. They are... There was a scene at Halftime Wreck. Oh, man.
I
don't know.
So close. They weren't happy young women. They were. That's a pretty funny one, Ryder.
Yeah.
Grumpy old men.
That's it.
All right. Nice effort. Sorry that didn't work out for you. Are we gonna keep going? We got time, or are we done? What are we doing, Ryder?
I say we call it for today.
I think all of our stress levels are pushing us off the cliff here. Probably best to call it for Dave. Hey, who won the tickets? I've already forgotten. Shelley
yes,
from Cambridge got Paul Simon tickets. Kathy gave it a great second effort, and Randy was 2 out of 3 ain't bad, man. So we're gonna get back to this game at some point soon. Again, congratulations, Shelley.
I'm having a panic attack right now.
Yeah, that's true. It's troubling when we're more stressed out than the contestants. It's like the old beat the clock. Like, we don't usually have to suffer under the timer, but man, when it's beaten for us, we're losing our minds over here. That was good. That was good stuff. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I'll tell you something else that's kind of cool is going to see the band Pearl Jam, and 92 KQRS would love to send you to see Pearl Jam, the Dark Matter Tour 2025 in Nashville this spring. Enter to win round-trip airfare, a 2-night stay, premium tickets, suite seats, and Dark Matter Lounge passes, plus Record Store Day vinyl and other Pearl Jam merch for this exclusive tour. This will be for you and a friend should you win. If you're interested, text the national keyword PART. P-A-R-T to 95819. The top 5 at 9. Coming up, hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Good Thursday morning, February 27th. Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down. The lyric, hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Tom Petty originally wrote, hey, baby, standing on the edge of the world. That was his line. And George Harrison, of all people, said, I think it would be better to say there ain't no easy way out. And he changed it. And why was George Harrison there? Because, they're friends. They're hanging out in the studio. If you see the video for I Won't Back Down, you may be surprised, if you've forgotten, that not only is George Harrison in that video, but so is Ringo Starr. It's good when you get half the Beatles in your video. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, these guys played on this track. There's half of the Fab Four. Tom Petty running with the big dogs, as per usual back in the day. But let's get right down to it. Top 5 at 9 for a Thursday morning. Number 5, speaking of Jorge Harrison of the Beatles, check this out. A piece of toast that George Harrison ate most of. A little chunk of a piece of toast that George Harrison ate in 1963 has just sold at an auction. As bizarre as this is, in the summer of 1963, a woman visited George's family home. A girl at the time, she was 15 years old. She's a big fan. She saw, left on George's plate, the crust from a piece of toast. She put it in her pocket. She held onto it. It put it in her scrapbook, and she wrote the caption, "Piece of George's breakfast, August 2nd, 63." That piece of toast in 1991 went up for auction and was sold for $95,000 in 1991. That's a lot of money in 2025. It now has sold again, but they're not sharing the amount, the dollar amount. But it just goes to show that some of the craziest people ever born have a lot of money.
Wayne Apple, are you listening out there? I love his last name. That's his actual name. He listens all the time. Wayne Apple runs the joint down there, Mr. Pig's Smokery in Shakopee.
Yep.
And is a Beatle fanatic. His house is a shrine to the Beatles. Wayne Apple. Sure. And I'm picturing him with a piece of toast now in, expensive crystal glass. And this is what drives people crazy about the Beatles. 1 in 100 people hate the Beatles. And it's not their music. It's Beatle fans. Beatlemania that still exists today. They're just, they're over it. But, Wayne, I love you, brother.
The idea, George Harrison was asked about this in the 90s, the first time this went up for auction, and he said, I always ate all my toast. I would have never left any, which did not undercut the market at all, apparently.
I guess not.
No.
And how did the toast even survive this long? It should be dust by now.
I would think so. Well, you know what? I mean, post-war Brits, man, they were built to last. They were not messing around. I'm sure you can still get a tin of beans from 1963 somewhere in England as well. Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. Anybody want to go hit some balls? Golf courses around the area opening this week with this crazy blast of great weather. Many golf courses, in fact, loading up the tee times. Get out there, guys, gals. We're looking at... right now it's about 40 degrees, but this weekend it's just going to get warmer and warmer. I mean, solid days in the 40s, but sunny. And we all know a golfer who will play if it's 30 degrees and sunny. 45 and sunny, forget it. They're wearing shorts.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. They're out there. There's a legion of them. Those and Beatles fans.
10... That's right. I'm both. I'm the biggest dork on the planet. I love golfing and I love the Beatles. TwinCitiesGolf.com has 10 courses currently open if you want to find them out for yourself. I can't imagine the courses are in great shape, but then again, we all suck at golf, so what's it really matter?
Yeah.
Don't you love it when you're playing with a guy and he's like, I hate playing these Muni courses. It's hard to play with these crappy fairways. I'm like, oh, stop it.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, Arnie Palmer, that I'm not playing on a nice enough course for your game. Ridiculous. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Memphis, Tennessee, crazy-ass story. A guy and his gal are driving their SUV. This man is 76 years old. He has kept his name private. He's driving in Memphis. He's in his SUV, and he approaches a car that's stopped in front of him, and he miscalculates. Boom, runs into the car in front of him. A fender bender. No one's hurt. No real serious damage done to either vehicle. And he's like, oh, crap, I can't believe this. And he pulls over to get out of the way to then deal with the issue. The driver that he rear-ended steps out of his car. And thankfully, of course, there's video because another car, a third group of people in a car had their phones out and videoed this. The gentleman who was rear-ended steps out of his car, approaches the SUV that had run into him, and, well, he had something in his hands, and it was an axe, and he attacked the SUV. What? Here's the victim of this bizarre incident.
I thought, okay, I'll get over in this lane, the turn lane. I suppose I miscalculated. He started towards us, and I said, what's that in his hand? And we couldn't figure it out until he took a large swing at the back window. I'm just thankful he didn't come up to the window, because he'd have got through the window there with my head. I was more in shock. It did not occur to me to drive away.
Huh?
When I see a guy when I rear end somebody, and it happens all the time. No, when I rear end somebody and they jump out of their car and they're approaching my car, even if I don't recognize that it's an axe, if they have something large in their hands, I'm moving my vehicle. I'm taking advantage of the fact that my car has an engine and it's got gas and tires, and I'm just going to punch the gas pedal and get the hell on out of Dodge.
Yeah, a friend of mine, we were texting about this story earlier. I said something about concealing carry would fix this real quick, but he said he carries a Louisville Slugger in his car, and always thought, well, if someone, he doesn't carry guns, he doesn't like guns, he's never shot a gun, he doesn't care to, so he keeps the Louisville Slugger, thinking, well, unless you've got a gun, anything else you can bring, I can handle with a Louisville Slugger.
Right.
Except now, Alex, I think this guy's an axe. Yeah, it might be a tie. I don't know.
The axe wielding gentleman escaped the scene. He was not arrested. He's facing charges of aggravated assault. And of course, the guy didn't do this because he got rear-ended. The dude did it because he's back crap crazy. That's how that works. You never know. It reminds me of the thing I've told my son for years since he started going out to bars. Hey, guess what? You never know who you're picking a fight with.
That's right.
The only people you should ever fight are people you already know really well, as weird as that sounds.
Your buddies,
exactly. If you're going to get into a fist fight in a bar, please tell me it's going to be with one of your closest friends. That way you have an accurate assessment of their abilities. Because that stranger who's just drunk and pushing people around, he might know jujitsu. He might have a gun. Sure. He might know he might be the police chief's son. You have no idea. But then the bar fights ensue. It still happens. But no, don't fight anybody, because you just don't know.
Everybody's a tough guy till you meet a tough guy.
Yeah, I met a lot of tough guys in 1987 because I bought for 75 cents a windbreaker at AmVets, and it said on the back in big letters, Mableton Boxing Club State Champ. It was red with white letters, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I need a windbreaker, and this says I'm a state champ in boxing, and I thought it was funny, and as I said, it cost me 75 cents. I would wear that jacket out at night, and more often than not, by the end of the night, one at least drunk dude would go, oh, you think you're tough, big boxing champion? And I'm like, okay, I didn't look like but I'm 6'3". I'm not, at the time, I was a lot thinner, but I'm still like, I don't necessarily look like a boxer, but I'm a big guy and I'm wearing a jacket that says I am, and you really want to fight me?
I wonder if he was drunk.
Every time. It was multiple people. This was not a one-off. It was like, look at that guy, but I could take him. And it's like, of all the people I'm not going to pick a fight with, it's the guy wearing the boxing state champion jacket.
Right?
Yeah, Mike Tyson. Someone called him out at a bar one time. So, you think you're the champ? I mean, if it's going to happen to Mike Tyson, yeah.
Used to see Evander Holyfield around Atlanta in the 90s a lot. He was the reigning world undisputed heavyweight champion. Yeah. And I'd be at Atlanta Hawks games a lot, and he would sit right in front of us, and we would chat. Really friendly guy. He was great. We just, hey, man, how you doing, champ? It's weird to call a guy champ. But he was, honestly, the heavyweight champion of the world. Right. And just getting to know him a little bit over this one season. And I said to him, I told him that story. I said, man, I had this jacket once. And he looked at me and said, oh, yeah, someone always wants to challenge me. I'm like, wait, really? He goes, oh, yeah, all the time. I'm like, people walk up to Evander Holyfield and want to throw a punch.
People are crazy. They're nuts.
Jump off a water tower. It'll be easier that way.
If you're ever in Ragstock and you see a chess champion windbreaker, buy that one. I'll leave you alone. Nobody wants to beat up or get beat up by the chess champion. No, don't any of that, man.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy known for kicking chess kids' asses, and you definitely don't want to be the guy known for having chess kids kick your ass.
That's right.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 9, Brian Zepp is a genius. He's a seer. He's a soothsayer.
Somewhat
He's a fortune teller.
Somewhat observant. We saw this coming, and of course,
you saw it coming. I was going the other direction.
Yeah, you're an optimist. That's why. I'm older. Life and Minnesota has kicked the crap out of my optimism.
A couple years ago, Ryder bought some beanbag chairs and lava lamps and some of those beaded curtains for her doorways. She was ready to rock because marijuana was legal to, suddenly it's like, hey, we're going to have dispensaries and we can sell weed in Minnesota. And while Ryder was stocking up at an old Pier 1 Imports before it closed, Brian Zepp basically said this: it's never going to happen. Yeah, I mean, they're going to screw it up.
Decades and decades. And then I like this is what the state legislature and legislators in general do so well. The idea here was to give the little guy a chance, to let the upstarts get started before all the pot marts start coming in and taking over and monopolizing the business. And in the effort to do that, they did exactly the opposite. Yeah. Good intentions, instead of now all of these potential cannabis business owners that have stocked up in the last 2 years and rented space and bought this and grown this are losing their asses, so they're suing. They're not going to end up getting their license, and guess what? It's going to be Pot Mart on the corner, 60,000 square feet of anything you want to get high.
Over 400 people who have requested refunds of their application fees from the state. Yeah. That's over $1.5 million. To your point, Zepp, an awful lot of people were like, hey, man, I can get that mom and pop pot shop. I always wanted to open. It's going to be great. You have to apply for a license. You have to pay a fee, et cetera, et cetera. And because it's just taking forever to figure out how to manage the operation, the rollout is just delayed. And finally people are like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go to Colorado where they already have this figured out.
Or you've created the perfect black market because now, and in their infinite wisdom, I think you can keep up to 2 pounds, which is by far more than any other state you can grow legally and keep in your home. Yep. They thought, well, that'll eliminate the black market. No, you've just flooded it because everybody's been growing it for 2 years. I got a buddy and his son that for Christmas gave me a duffel bag full of weed. I'm exaggerating, but he's like, we got to get rid of this stuff. It's like the old lady growing the tomatoes next door in her backyard. Suddenly you've got 3 grocery bags full of tomatoes sitting on your front step. They've completely botched this. But when you're a pioneer, when you're the first to do. Oh, no, wait. 23 other states did it first. Successfully. Right. Hell, even Montana frickin' figured it out.
Oh, my God. You would think there would be an easier path, but not yet. No. It was last summer they said, hey, by 2025 we'll be up and running, and then now it's February of 2025, and they're going, 26 looks like it's going to happen. Quick morning shout-out to our friends in Corcoran. Corky, I call him for short. Corcoran, Minnesota. Glad to have you with us.
Come here,
Number 1 on your top 5 at 9. If you haven't heard, sorry to bring the bad news, and I'm being dead serious. Gene Hackman died yesterday. One of the, if not the greatest character actor of all time. Gene Hackman, I love the line he said once, I never want to be famous because then it makes it harder to play the people I like to play. I don't want to be a celebrity on any level. Hackman had a 60-year run as one of the most reliable stars in Hollywood, 50-year run maybe. He's been retired for over 20 years, but living in New Mexico with his wife, who's a classical pianist. Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog were found dead in their home. Police immediately said no sign of malfeasance. We all said the same. Carbon monoxide leak or something happened. He was 95. The man had a hell of a great life and an amazing run. His wife was only 64, and then the dog. All of them gone, hopefully very peacefully, if they have to go. Get Shorty. How amazing is he in that movie? I mean, everyone always says French Connection and this and that and the other. Yeah. No, Get Shorty. The Royal Tenenbaums. I mean, his later work.
Even in Birdcage, he had a great comedic role in that. Yeah,
Incredible.
I mean, they go on, and his Oscars as well. And I'm forgetting the Clint Eastwood movie, Unforgiven.
Incredible in that. Little Bill.
Incredible. Little Bill in that, and the entire thing. In fact, he sums up his acting career and his life, I think, a bit when he accepted this Lifetime Achievement Award, Gene Hackman.
I never wanted to be anything but an actor. Being at the Palace Theater in my little hometown, my favorite time as a young boy, get a bag of popcorn and see a double feature. I would sit in that movie house, the screen would light up, and I'd be transported to darkest Africa and swing from the trees with Johnny Weissmuller, dive to the depths of the ocean with Ray Milland and John Wayne, ride the Santa Fe Trail, fly wingman with Errol Flynn, or walk side by side with my favorite, James Cagney. I'm honored and proud to be this year's recipient of the Cecil B. DeMille Award. I want to thank all of you. There's a line that I always wanted to say, top of the world, Ma, top of the world.
Man, I was a college student in the mid-'80s in Kentucky, and a guy I knew, he was one of the assistant coaches at Western Kentucky University, said, hey, man, do you act? And I said, every day I pretend to be a college student. And he said, there's an audition I can get you in Louisville this Saturday. They're making a movie in Indiana, and it's about a basketball team, a high school basketball team in the 50s. They need white boys under 6'5" who can hoop.
Oh, man.
And I said, yeah, I got nothing else to do. And I lined up a ride to Louisville, and I was going to go to a high school gym at 10 a.m. And audition for a movie that turned out to be Hoosiers.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I overslept.
Oh, Stephen Gorman.
That's my Gene Hackman story. We were almost best friends on the set of Hoosiers, but I overslept and missed my ride to Louisville to audition for the movie.
I mean, what was it like for you watching the movie?
Literally gut-wrenching, because I guarantee you I would have gotten... I was like, I know I would have been in this film. Have you ever acted? No, that's not the point. I got a nice game, and I would have just BS'd my way in there somehow, and I would have had finally had a real reason to drop out of college and quit wasting this perfectly good Pell Grant that someone else could be taking advantage of.
Well, you found another perfectly good reason.
A year later, I came up with another reason to drop out, and that worked out okay, too. But anyway, man, Gene Hackman, Godspeed, brother. Rest in peace. What an amazing run, and just never a false note, ever. Well done, Gene Hackman. There's your top 5 at 9 for a Thursday. The rest of the day is starting to appear in the horizon. Let's run around the room and see what's on the agenda. Ryder, what you going to do today?
Oh, well, I imagine that I have to follow up on what I did yesterday.
Please.
So the hydro massage, I feel like my fellow gym rat may have oversold this a little bit. But was it still, I had a nice back massage in a lounge chair, and it was still pretty enjoyable. Like, my shoulders feel great today.
Okay.
Well, no happy ending.
It was an okay ending.
Okay, sure. Well, we settle, don't we?
Today, plan A, like a week ago, a friend and I were going to do some snowshoeing and then go get margaritas, but now that has turned into just going to get margaritas. There is nothing damn snowflakes to be found.
You have no choice but to just go straight to margaritas. You don't have to fill that in with something else. No, my God, no.
Straight to the drinking.
That's a good day. Now, this is on the raw. You don't go frozen margaritas like a tourist, do you?
No,
okay, just making sure.
An umbrella.
No, thank you.
And obviously, you prefer a salted rim.
Yes, definitely have to have salt on the rim.
All right, fair enough.
Lick
Very
it
good. Zepp, what do you got?
Well, I did not get the double in yesterday. I did not go skiing.
That was really ambitious.
Yeah, that was really ambitious. One time I got the trifecta. I ended up going skiing in the morning, and then rode my motorcycle for a little bit, went out and hit some golf balls. That's still viable this year, but yesterday I just wussed out a little bit. On DennisKirk.com, getting some stuff delivered, just sitting in the garage today, and getting the motorcycle already. I think it's supposed to be near 60 on Monday. What the hell?
Kind of nuts.
Nice.
I did roll a few frames yesterday over at
go?
Elsie's. It was fine. Well, I tell you how it went. I'm going over to the Mayo Clinic's orthopedic walk-in clinic this afternoon. So, no, I didn't. I'm a bad bowler, and I'm probably okay for the average guy, I guess. But I used to be good, so I only think I'm bad.
Did you break 100?
Yeah, that's a given. That's always going to happen. But like a 117 and a 126, I believe. Real disappointing. I mean, listen, when I was 12, I was carrying like a 160 average. I was a bowling dork.
Yeah.
So I still, in my mind, I still have the graceful delivery. I look like a French guy playing basketball now when I bowl. It's just like, no, dude, that game's not for you. That's how I look when I bowl now. It's very creaky. I've never been a very good bowler. I get triple digits and I get pretty stoked. That's my golf game is triple digits. But that thing where you go down and you dip the knee, I can't get back up. You know. There was a time, man, when I had I was like Baryshnikov out there on the waxwood, man. It was the best. Long since gone. So today I got to take it a little easier. All I really know is I'm going to have a plate of pierogies at some point this afternoon.
Good for you.
There's pierogies
Solid
awaiting
plan.
me over at Kramerchuck's. It's right around the street, right around the corner, and I'll be there. God bless the pierogi people. That's all I got. Hey, tomorrow on the show, WTF, Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, Zeps edition. Chris Nelson's up next with a chance for you to win wild tickets during the free ride at noon. Hang tight.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.